rolling. Okay, sir, would you please introduce yourself today?
Sure. My name is Gregg Gaither. I am a social worker that works in community reentry, with formerly incarcerated citizens, as well as youth that are in the juvenile justice system. A lot of the work that I do is to engage youth as well as systems like public schools, juvenile justice systems, to engage these systems in supporting the school re-engagement of kids who are coming out of these facilities. Of course, the research has indicated that 50% or less, or 50% or more of kids who come out of the juvenile system do not return to school. So we've got a lot of work to do in terms of getting these kids back in school and making sure that they're successful educationally.
And so you worked on both sides of corrections, both inside the system and outside the system?
Yes. I started out as a correctional officer at the Cook County Department of Corrections. I was there for approximately 3 years and moved on from there to a school social worker position in the Chicago Public Schools. And as a result of working in the Chicago Public Schools, I was assigned to 2 of the public schools operating inside of these facilities. The Nancy B. Jefferson Alternative School, which operates inside the Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center in Chicago, and the Mother Consuelo B. York Alternative High School, which operates inside the Cook County Department of Corrections in Chicago. Both of those facilities have Chicago Public Schools operating inside of those sites.
And so you worked as a corrections officer, so you've worked on that side of the law, and you've seen guys on the other side, escorted guys, and making calls, seen the lines form. As a guard, what is it like on a phone call day when folks get to call their loved ones?
Well, a phone call is so important. As a matter of fact, as the school social worker inside the facility, on a number of occasions I've had to have one-to-one meetings to address, let's say, special education services for a particular youth. And while I'm talking to the youth about his special education experiences, because in other words, there has to be a multidisciplinary staffing that is required to provide special education services inside the facility. After I've completed an interview that is just strictly for the purposes of getting information so that the school social worker's report is going to be able to be inserted into that overall assessment of the student's special ed needs, I was generally always asked by the student, could you give me a phone call? And the reason they would ask me if I could give them a phone call is because they often did not get the phone calls on the deck, on the wing that they were on. And they didn't get the kind of phone calls that they would get in the social worker's office. And so I would call, because of the security protocols, I would call the young man's mother, and I would say to her, this is the school social worker, I have your son here, he wants to talk to you. And so then I would give him the phone and let him talk to his mother. And, oddly enough, that sort of cemented me in terms of my relationships with the other youth in the facility, that they could get a phone call to their family members in my office. So I had a bunch of support from the youth, and when they would exit the facility, I would make sure that they were able to contact me if they needed assistance in re-entering school once they were able to get back into the school community.
But it was easier for them to go to you for a call than to go through the system of paying the fees.
Exactly.
Making those calls.
And so those those calls are very important. And I was attending a conference today that was put on by the Education Justice Project at the University of Illinois. And I learned something that I just didn't know, that in the state of Illinois, there's about $12 million of revenues that correctional facilities have at their disposal as a result of the charges for these phone calls. And that nationally, when you take all of these correctional facilities together and you look at that the revenues exceed about $140 million. That's mind-boggling. Are you saying that there are so many millions of dollars that goes back to these facilities when they're charging for the inmates to make phone calls to their family members? Those figures are mind-boggling. And given the kind of need that we have in our communities, where we have just a multitude of individuals exiting these facilities, as juveniles as well as adults, exiting these facilities, coming back into communities, the kind of funds that are being cut to support reentry. If we're going to look for monies to support a project that's needed in the community, like community reentry, I would say this is the pot that we need to tap into. Let's just get serious with this. Let's look at creative, innovative ways to fund the kind of programs that we need. And I'm going to say this one more time. I was blown away when I heard that the state of Illinois correctional facilities get $12 million in revenues for phone calls. Are you serious? And that nationally, these monies exceed over $140 million at these other facilities? Oh, I never would have known it had I not attended this conference today. It's mind-boggling. It's got me just totally shaken. So I would say let's look at how to use some of these funds responsibly.
So one of the questions, you say you work with families, and in your role of working with youth, you've seen how keeping families intact is important to these youth's futures.
Exactly.
So phones play a role in helping the families keep in contact. I don't know if you could speak any more on this.
Oh, definitely. That contact from an institution with a family member can mean the difference between someone being able to handle that environment emotionally. Mm-hmm. So yeah, phone calls with family members, especially if you're going to get a phone call, it helps inform the family about how you're doing. You need money on your books. Your family members will come in and put money on your books. And then in some cases, parents will call me and say, "How's he doing? I didn't get a call from him. I don't know what's going on this week because I didn't get a call from him." And so, yeah, the phone call is pivotal when you're talking about being locked down in a facility and you've got family members out there who are concerned about you. It's the most important piece of communication going on in the system.